What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to talk about Gecko Moria, that leader that's just come around in OP06. Yeah, turns out it's actually pretty good. I've started seeing some lists running around, being shared, so I thought it was time to have a look at a winning list from a little tournament over in Japan, and we are talking about small tournaments, etc. Look, if Gecko Moria goes and wins a big tournament, I'm going to come and show it to you, alright? Right now, however, we're not having these giant tournaments in Japan. We haven't had one in the OP06 meta yet. What I'm showing you instead is, well, a couple of things. Firstly, it's just Gecko Moria, right? But this is a list you can use to start testing the OP06 meta. So if you're on this channel and you're having a look around, you want a list to start with, this is a good list. And also to show you what the deck is about, because it's a new leader, one that was a little bit hyped and people were liking the look of, and now I can show you, well, how it works. And that's lovely. Now, as for the Gecko Moria leader, it's one of those ones that asks a lot of you. There's quite a lot you need to do to use this skill. Mono leader, so 5,000 power, 5 life, as you might expect. But we've got Don X1, when attacking, pay 2, trash a card from your hand. Yes, you need to do all of that. But then you get to play a 4-cost Thriller Pirate from your trash for free. Not really for free, because you had to pay 2 to use it, and trash a card from your hand, and trash the top 2 cards of your deck. But it's not the point. You still get to play a card cheaper, and that's pretty good. So, presumably we're thinking some kind of swarming kind of deck here, where we are just playing lots and lots of cards and having lots and lots of fun. Sound like a plan? Good. So what we've got here in terms of characters, we've got our old friend Tsuru. This is a card you should honestly be familiar with at this point, because this is one that is popping up everywhere. It's from OP02, 1 cost, counter plus 2,000, and you give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2 cost during the turn. This is one of the standard black cards that is just literally being played in like every black deck. I'm always following these deck lists and paying attention for hope that I get to cast again in the future and just to follow the meta. And yeah, if you're seeing black decks around at the moment, you are probably seeing Tsuru popping up in them. Very, very good card. One we like very much indeed. And by we, I mean literally everybody. There we go. We've also then got ourselves another 1 cost. It's actually one of the new ones from OP06. We've got Victoria Sindri. 1 cost, 2,000 power, counter plus 2,000, which is very important. And on play, if your leader has the Thriller Pirates trait, trash the top 5 cards of your deck. It's South Mill. South Mill, generally speaking, not a huge fan if I'm honest with you. South Mill, when you've got a plan like this, when you're playing cards from the trash with your leader, yeah, that'll do, ladies and gentlemen. That'll do very nicely indeed. Now, we have the Branu coming in here. There's only been one, it's from OP03, though there were a couple different prints of it. And this is the one whereby, on play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, find a Navy card other than Branu, add it to your hand. Yes, this is a Thriller Pirates deck, don't get me wrong. It's also a Navy deck, playing a bunch of Navy dudes, so having this as your searcher, very good idea. Now, we also have a single copy of Helmeppo, the Helmeppo from Started X6. On play, give one of your opponent's characters minus 3 cost during this turn. It's only played as a one-of, and it's not one we generally see played in these black decks, which is a little bit weird, but it's here, ladies and gentlemen, so it's something to consider. Now, something we do see a lot more often, though there is only 1 copy here, we've got ourselves Kobe, specifically the Kobe from OP02, lets you, on play, trash a card from your hand, and KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less, which, of course, very, very useful. I've already shown you a couple things which are going to lower cost. There's going to be some more. You get some cheeky KOs, and frankly, yeah, this seems to work pretty nicely indeed. This is one that we do see popping up in a bunch of decks. Now, we also got ourselves Hina coming in here. This is another one that you should be quite familiar with in black decks by now. So one from Started X6, and on play, gives one of your opponent's characters minus 4 cost this turn. I did literally just tell you we'd be seeing more cards that reduce cost. I didn't make you wait very long. That's what it does. That's the card. It lowers cost. And we've got cards that take advantage of the lowered cost. It's quite good. I have very little else to say about this card. We've also got ourselves 3 copies of Borsalino, and this is one of those cards that, again, we see in almost every black deck, just because it's a little bit broken. Although, weirdly, only 3 copies in here. And what this one does, it is a blocker that on your opponent's turn gains 1,000 power, switch to 6k, and it cannot be KO'd by effects. And that's what your opponent wants to do a lot of the time. KO your blockers using effects so that they can then attack and you don't have a blocker to, well, block. Well, you can't do that here. You actually have to attack into Borsalino. It's not the only black blocker we've seen that can't be KO'd by effect, but it is one of them, and it is very good. And it is super annoying when you've actually got to attack into the blocker and there's no way around it. Sorry. Now, it might be a Navy/Thriller Pirates deck, but it's also playing a full 4 copies of Rebecca, who is neither Navy nor Thriller Pirates. But it is a ridiculously good black card, so I think we can forgive the players. And this is the one, it's actually coming as a special rare in OP06, incidentally, if that's what you're into. But it's a 4-cost 0 power counter plus 1,000. We've got another blocker. Having blockers is good. But on play, you get to put a black card of between 3 and 7 cost from your trash back to your hand, and then play a 3 cost from your hand for free, which is actually kind of nice. Now, in terms of 3 cost cards, you don't actually have a huge amount here. You've got Hina and that single Kobe. That's literally it in terms of 3 cost. But also, this gets your characters back. Remember, one of the things you're doing with, like, Sindri, for instance, you're just trashing the top 5 cards of your deck. What you don't want to do here is inadvertently trash a card you actually really need, so this will work as recovery. There is one card in your deck, which is an 8 cost, which you're not going to be able to get that you might want to. There's also some weaker cards you can't get back, but I think you'll survive without them. So yeah, it's recovery. It's pretty good. Now, something else that's pretty good that makes me very, very happy here. We've got 3 copies of the Rob Lucci from OP05. I love Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci is cool. When are we going to get a Devil Fruit form character? We've seen it on an event card. Give me the character. But on play, you can place 3 cards from your trash at the bottom of your deck in any order, and then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less, and one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less. And this might be CP0 as opposed to Navy or Thriller Bark. But what's great about this card is you're already trashing cards from your deck, so you're going to have enough cards in your trash to be able to pay the cost of putting cards on the bottom of your deck. And you're also playing a bunch of cards that will reduce the cost of your opponent's cards, which means you're going to be able to target a much wider range of cards with Rob Lucci, and you add them together and you're like, oh yeah, of course they're playing Rob Lucci in this deck. That makes perfect sense. But we do need a bunch of cards that we can play for free using Gecko Moria. We want a bunch of 4-cost cards, so we're playing cards for free and getting maximum value. And there are 3 here, and we're playing a full playset of each of them, which is giving us 12 targets for our leader's skill. Obviously, we need some good targets for our leader's skill. It would be weird if we didn't have any good targets for our leader's skill. First of all, we've got Absalom. And again, if you've read the manga or watched the anime here, this is going to be kind of cool, because you're like, oh yeah, of course that dude's in there. That's pretty nice. Here we got your 4-cost, 5,000 power, counter plus 1,000, and on play, you may return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order to KO a character with a cost of 2 or less. Again, your leader and some of your other cards are going to make sure there's enough cards in your trash to pull this off. And also, we're playing a bunch of cards that reduce cost, so Absalom is going to work very nicely. And again, you're never actually playing this as a 4-cost here. You're essentially paying 2 and then playing it for free with your leader, which I suppose isn't really playing it for free, but shh, you know what I mean. It's going to be okay. We then have a full 4 copies of Dr. Hogback here, And again, it's a 4 cost, so we can play it for free. And again, we got a decent play skill. On play, you may return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. We got cards at trash, this will be fine. And then, from your trash, you can take 1 card that is not Dr. Hogback and add it to your hand. Again, we've got indiscriminate trashing here. We got random trashing from the top of your deck. We don't necessarily like this. But we got cards like Rebecca and this, which are essentially going to soften the blow. Sure, you've got to actually go to the effort of recovering them, which is slightly annoying. But you can get any Thrillerbark Pirates card other than Dr. Hogback, regardless of cost. That'll work very nicely indeed. I like the 8 cost Gecko Moria we're going to get to in a minute, which can't be recovered by Rebecca. Can be recovered by this. And bearing in mind you're playing this with the leader from the trash. So if this is in your trash, leader plays this for free, which plays the 8 cost Gecko, which gets back the 8 cost Gecko Moria to your hand, ready to play. Yes, that sounds pretty gosh darn good to me. And then we got Perona. I'm not going to play this deck. There's a Perona leader. I'm going to play a deck with the Perona leader, but it makes me happy that we have at least got a full placer of Perona here. And this one's got counter plus 2,000, which is really nice. And we got a nice little skill here whereby, on play, if your opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand, you can either make them trash a card from their hand or give one of your opponent's characters -3 cost for the turn. So, bit of hand disruption is nice. Being able to lower cost to characters is nice. But even if your opponent doesn't have 5 or more cards in hand, you've still got counter plus 2,000 here, which is going to help you out very nicely indeed. Then, of course, we got the aforementioned 8 cost Gecko Moria, which is one of the real highlights of the deck. It's one of the reasons the deck's so good. Because on play, you choose up to a 4 cost or less character and a 2 cost or less character from your trash, and you play one of them active and one of them rested. And you'll notice, of course, we've got all those 4 cost Thrillerbark Pirates I showed you a minute ago, and we got a couple of 2 cost ones as well that we showed you a moment ago. And incidentally, this is probably why we have 1 copy of the Helmeppo. It's not a great card, honestly, but it is a 2 cost that can be played for free with the 8 cost Gecko Moria, and it's got a nice play skill that gives -3 cost. But because you're randomly trashing from your deck, and the leader lets you trash from your hand, we'll play 1 Helmeppo. It's going to be lounging around in your trash, but then you can play it with this and take advantage of the skill. And actually, okay, cool, yeah, that does actually make quite a lot of sense. And then we got ourselves a couple of event cards here, both of which are Navy. We've got the 1 cost Ice Age from OPO2, gives one of your opponent's characters -5 during the turn, which again, we're trying to lower cost here. -5 when we're only paying 1 to play this card? Yes. Obviously, that sounds pretty gosh darn good. We've then got a trigger that KOs a character with a cost of 3 or less, which is not too shabby. Certainly fits the deck perfectly. And then, of course, we've got the one that everyone's expecting, the 1 cost Great Eruption, one of the best black event cards we've got. Because you draw a card for 1 cost, then give one of your opponent's characters -2 to their cost during this turn, or as a trigger, your opponent trashes a card from their hand. Either way, you're getting some kind of value here, and this is lovely. I'm not sure this deck is going to end up being as good as Yamato, for instance, that I showed you earlier. It might be. It's still early. I am hesitant. What I can tell you is we got lots of cards at reduced cost. Lots of cards that take advantage of reduced cost. We've got a bunch of ways to get cards into the trash, but then cards that play cards for free from the trash. And you add all of this together, and there is a lot of potential in this deck. Is it going to end up being an absolute world-beating deck? Can't tell you that. What I can tell you is, huge amount of potential, this is great, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me how excited you are by this deck. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and card games and all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.